What if the thing that destroyed your family became the very thing you were trained to kill? Lieutenant Mary Ann Arkham doesn't hunt demons because she's brave. She hunts them because one wore her father's face. But what happens when the line between vengeance and justice begins to blur, and the real monster isn't what she's fighting, but what she's becoming? Let's break it all down. Part 1. The Impact of Trauma. Imagine watching your father, a respected professor, transform before your eyes into the very embodiment of what would later become your deepest hatred. The fluid that coursed through his veins didn't just change his physical form. It destroyed the entire fabric of Mary's reality. Her mother's blood on the floor, her father's eyes no longer recognizable, the hands that once put her to bed now reaching for her throat, driven by a demonic force that has erased the man she adored. That's where Mary's real story begins. This moment awakens something deep-seated in Mary. Trauma, it doesn't merely scar, it rebuilds. It's a shaper of the soul, reshaping identity with ruthless precision. For Mary, her father's transformation into a demon wasn't just a loss, it was a betrayal so profound it redefined her understanding of safety, trust, and self. There's a cruel poetry in the irony. A man obsessed with uncovering demonic mysteries becomes the very monster he studied, leaving his daughter to inherit his obsession in a dark, vengeful form. This fear manifests in her DARKCOM badge, a shining symbol of authority and power that doubles as a psychological shield. It's more than a symbol, it's a barrier against the chaos of her past, a way to impose order on a world that once betrayed her. The badge draws a stark line. Us versus them, human versus demon, safety versus threat. It's a motto that simplifies the unbearable complexity of her trauma into a division she can wield. But this shield is fragile, built on the shaky foundation of a child's terror. Every time Mary wears that badge, she's not just asserting control, she's clutching at the illusion of a world where betrayal can be prevented, where monsters can be slain before they strike. Yet, this is where Mary's story becomes painful, and I can't help but feel a surge of empathy for her. Her trauma, so raw and human, has hardened into an ideology that justifies unspeakable acts. When you've watched your mother die at the hands of the man who was once your father, nuance becomes a luxury you can't afford. The Machaians, desperate refugees fleeing a poisoned realm, aren't individuals with dreams, fears, or families. To Mary, they're shadows of her father's demonic form, each one a potential threat wearing a mask of innocence. Her slaughter of these innocents isn't merely tactical. It's a ritual, an obsessive replay of the moment she couldn't save her mother. Every demon she kills is her father, struck down again and again in a useless attempt to rewrite the past. In Attack on Titan, Eren Yeager snarls,
"I'll kill them all! Every last one!"
A vow that echoes Mary's relentless crusade, driven not by reason but by the ghosts of her pain.
Hold! You! Why do you look human?
I am human. You don't understand? If you'll put the guns down, I can explain.
Part 2. The Price of Revenge. When Mary leads the extermination of Machian refugees, she doesn't see desperate beings fleeing a dying world. She doesn't see the children who have never harmed anyone. She sees only potential threats, demons wearing the masks of innocence. Her hatred has become a lens that twists everything she perceives. This is how trauma rewrites your definitions. A cry for help becomes a war cry. Mary doesn't just see the present. She sees every flash of her mother's final breath, every shadow of her father's final smile before the demon took over. She's not reacting to now, she's reacting to then. To highlight this, consider the parallel journey of the White Rabbit, a character whose path both mirrors and diverges from Mary's. Like her, he bears the scars of profound suffering, his soul marked by the cruelties he endured. Yet, where Mary's pain solidified into a crusade of destruction, the White Rabbit's encounter with a compassionate Machian child opened a different door. He chose, at least in the beginning, to save demons, to see beyond the labels of monster or enemy. This divergence fascinates me. for it underscores the unpredictable impact of trauma. How two souls forged in similar fires can emerge with such vastly different shapes. But fate, as it so often does in the stories we love, weaves a cruel surprise. Both Mary and the White Rabbit, despite their divergent paths, descend into atrocities. Mary with her merciless slaughter of refugees, the White Rabbit with his chilling experiments on Machian children. Their stories, though rooted in different soils, bear the same bitter fruit, the capacity of trauma to corrupt even the most well-intentioned hearts. As Edward Elric declares in Fullmetal Alchemist,
"There's no such thing as a painless lesson. They just don't exist."
Mary and the White Rabbit learned their lessons, but the cost was their moral clarity, their ability to see the world as it is, not as their pain demands it to be. And this is where Mary's ideological framework starts to collapse. Her entire mission is built on the idea that demons are naturally evil. But then there's Dante, half human, half demon, son of Sparta. Where does he fit in her black and white worldview? His very existence is a contradiction of her ideology. If Sparta could turn against his kind to protect humanity, if Dante can use his demonic heritage for good, then Mary's indiscriminate hatred becomes not just morally questionable, but factually wrong. And that's what makes her tragedy so complete. Because deep down, some part of her knows. She knows there's more to the Machians than what she saw that day. She knows not all demons are monsters, but knowledge is no match for memory when that memory is soaked in blood. So, when Mary kills, she isn't just executing an enemy. She's silencing the unbearable uncertainty. She's choosing clarity over complexity, simplicity over pain. And yet, as I reflect on Mary's choices, I find myself wrestling with a troubling question. Could any of us swear we would act differently in her place? Trauma is not a gentle guest. It invades without permission, rewiring the heart, the mind, the very compass by which we navigate right and wrong. The raw memory of her mother's blood, the animalistic roars of her father's transformed voice, the weight of a world turned upside down. These are not mere memories for Mary. They are a living presence, a shadow that colors every decision she makes. Her tragedy is not solely the loss of her family, but the loss of the person she might have been, a girl who could have seen the world with hope, with curiosity, instead of suspicion and rage. This, to me, is where Mary's story resonates with the anime narratives that have shaped my own understanding of pain and redemption. Like Scar in Fullmetal Alchemist, whose grief and anger drove him to slaughter, Mary's hatred is both her strength and her undoing. She is trapped in a cycle of pain she cannot escape, her every action a cry for a world that no longer exists. Her story is a stark reminder that trauma is a sculptor carving heroes and villains from the same fragile stone. And as I watch her wield her gun, I cannot help but feel a mix of sorrow and awe for the girl she was, for the warrior she became, and for the humanity she struggles to reclaim. Given her pain, her loss, the betrayal she lived through, could we say with any confidence that we'd come out better? The hard truth is, maybe not. And that's what makes her so heartbreakingly human. Part 3. The Weaponization of Grief. There is a particular cruelty in how the world reconfigures someone suffering into strategy. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Mary's story is how her personal trauma becomes instrumentalized by larger powers. Her position within DARKCOM, an organization headed by a vice president with his own dark agenda, shows how individual pain can be harnessed and directed toward institutional ends. Mary's hatred makes her the perfect weapon. Her personal vendetta aligns conveniently with DARKCOM's operations, her psychological wounds ensuring her loyalty to the cause. What Mary doesn't realize, at least initially, is that she's not just avenging her mother. She's advancing power schemes between realms that she barely comprehends. DARKCOM saw the fault lines in her soul and followed them like a map. They did not offer healing. They offered purpose. And purpose is seductive when you have nothing else left. But what Mary didn't realize, what she perhaps could not realize, is that her war was never really hers. Her mother's death may have sparked her crusade, but the battlefield she marched onto was far larger, far colder, and far more political than she ever imagined. The vice president, a man cloaked in ambiguity and armed with ambition, never cared about the ghost that haunted Mary. He cared about portals, power, control. When he steals the White Rabbit's device and forcibly opens a passage to Makai, the consequences are catastrophic, not just for the Makaian civilians trapped within the Ouroboros detention facility, but for Mary herself, because in that moment, her mission is hijacked. Her pain, which once felt so singular and righteous, becomes part of something vast and monstrous. She is not avenging her mother. She is furthering inter-realm colonization. And the worst part? She doesn't even know it. There's a chilling parallel here to anime like Code Geass, where Lelouch weaponizes tragedy, his own and others, to justify increasingly questionable actions. In one pivotal moment, Lelouch tells Suzaku,
Yes, I destroy the world and create it anew.
Mary has not yet reached that level of self-awareness. She destroys because she believes it's all she can do. She hasn't stopped to ask what she might be helping build, and who she's building it for. Even her uniform lies to her. The perfect rank symbol, the authority it projects, it all masks a deeper truth. She is not free. Her command is conditional. Her role is prescribed. That lieutenant's badge doesn't just mark her status in the chain of command, it brands her as property of a system that feeds on her fury. She believes she's writing a redemption arc. In truth, she's a character in someone else's plot, turning pages she never authored. And yet, Mary isn't merely a victim. She makes choices. She pulls triggers. She leads squads. The blood on her hands is real, regardless of who position her arms. This is what makes her story so haunting. The system didn't murder for her. She did that herself. This conflict between victim and perpetrator, between grief and guilt, isn't something she can escape by blaming the people above her. She is both a consequence and a cause. Her story is a mirror, reflecting the ways our own pain can be weaponized, how our deepest wounds can be turned against us and against others. Her journey is a stark reminder that grief, left unhealed, can become a weapon not just against our enemies, but against ourselves. And in that twisted feedback loop, Mary Arkham becomes something almost mythic. Not a hero, not a villain, something far more terrifying, a product of unchecked sorrow channeled through the cold machinery of institutional power. Part 4. Damned Soul, or Demon Slayer. So, where does this leave us with Lieutenant Mary and Arkham? Is she hero, or villain, protector, or predator? She is the morally complex space that so many stories are afraid to explore. The answer, as unsatisfying as it is profound, is that she is all of these and none. Mary exists in a transitional space, a chaotic crossroads where trauma, choice, manipulation, and circumstance collide. Her moral compass, shattered in the hell of her childhood, has been rebuilt around a core of hatred. A hatred that gives her purpose but blinds her to the nuances of the world. To me, Mary is not just a character. She is a reflection of the human condition, a testament to how pain can both forge and fracture us. Mary's complexity is what makes her story so compelling, so haunting. She resists easy categorization, defying the labels we so often crave to impose. Is she a hero, fighting for her mother's memory? Is she a villain, leaving a trail of bodies in her wake? The truth lies in the messy middle, where compassion and cruelty coexist, where fear disguises itself as righteousness. Her pain has hardened into a purpose so sharp it slices through uncertainty, leaving only allies and enemies in its wake. I see echoes of Guts in Berserk, a man whose trauma fuels his sword, each swing a defiance of his pain, but also a step closer to losing his humanity. Mary, too, carves her path, her hatred ablaze, but at what cost? The line between protector and persecutor blurs until it vanishes, leaving a woman who believes she is slaying demons when she may be becoming one herself. What draws me to Mary's story is how it mirrors our own capacity for both light and shadow. In her, I see the ways pain can twist us, how fear can cloak itself in justice. Her journey is a warning, a reminder that unhealed wounds can corrupt, turning us into instruments of the very cycles we seek to break. Mary believes she is protecting her mother's memory, her world, but her protection comes at a cost, staining her hands with blood that may never wash clean. Her story challenges us to ask, when does the pursuit of justice become a perpetuation of violence? If there is any hope for Mary, it lies in confronting the complexity she has spent her life denying. I think of the White Rabbit, another broken soul whose hatred of people wavered, if only briefly, when a kind Machian child offered him a glimpse of humanity. Perhaps Mary's encounters with Dante, a being who defies her binary worldview, could spark a similar reckoning. Dante, with their refusal to fit into her categories of friend or foe, is a living challenge to the hatred that defines her. They are a mirror reflecting the possibility of a world beyond vengeance. Mary's path feels fated, a blood-soaked trajectory toward destruction, but Dante's presence suggests that fate is not absolute, that she might yet rewrite her story if only she can see beyond her pain. The true tragedy would be if Mary never recognizes the parallel between herself and the White Rabbit, two souls whose pain led them to ruin, who responded to trauma by inflicting it on others. Both believed they were chasing justice. Both became tools in cycles of violence. I can't help but imagine Mary standing before the Ouroboros detention facility, the cries of imprisoned Machians echoing in her ears, and wonder, does she hear their pain or only her own? Her journey is a stark reminder that the greatest demons we face are not always the horned beasts of another realm. Sometimes they are born from our own unhealed wounds, feeding on our grief, growing stronger with each act of revenge we mistake for righteousness. Mary Ann Arkham stands at the edge of vengeance and justice, trauma and healing, humanity and monstrosity, her bloodied hands a testament to the war within her soul. She walks a path littered with bodies, but paved by decisions, her decisions, and each step takes her further from the girl she was and closer to something ancient, something primal, the pure, destructive clarity of a person who believes pain is justice. In the end, the question is no longer what Mary fights for. It's what remains of her when the fighting stops. It's a painful reminder that the girl who wanted to save the world never realized the one who needed saving was herself.